welcome to Biology, the center study of life. Mammalian respiratory systems, a closer look. At their tips, the tiniest bronchioles dead end as a cluster of air sacs called alveoli, singular alveolus. Gas exchange occurs across the thin epithelial of the lungs, millions of alveoli, which have a total surface area of about 1,000 meters square in humans, sufficient to carry out gas exchange for the entire body. Oxygen in the air entering the alveoli dissolves in the moist film and rapidly diffuses across the epithelium into a web of capillaries that surrounds each alveolus. Carbon dioxide diffuses in the opposite direction from the capillaries across the epithelium of the alveolus and into the air space. Breathing ventilates the lungs. Like fishes, terrestrial vertebrates rely on ventilation to maintain high O2 and low CO2 concentrations at the gas exchange surface. The process that ventilates lung is breathing, the alternate inhalation and exhalation of air. How an amphibian breathes. An amphibian such as a frog ventilates its lung by positive pressure breathing. During a breathing cycle, muscles lower the floor of the oral cavity, drawing in air through the nostrils. Then with the nostrils and mouth closes the floor of the oral cavity, as shown in this figure. The oral cavity rises, forcing air down the trachea. Elastic recoil of the lungs and compression by the muscular body wall force air back out of the lungs during exhalation. How a mammal breathes. Unlike amphibians, mammals ventilate their lungs by negative pressure breathing, which works like a suction pump pulling air instead of pushing it into the lungs. Muscle action changes the volume of the rib cage and the chest cavity, and the lungs match these volume changes. The inner layer of the lungs double-walled sac adheres to the outside of the lungs, and the outer layer adheres to the wall of the chest cavity. A thin space filled with the fluid separates into two layers because of the surface tension. The two layers are like two plates of glass stuck together by a film of water. The layer can slide smoothly past each other, but they cannot be pulled apart easily. Surface tension coupled movements of the lungs to movement of the rib cage. Lung volume increases as a result of contraction of the rib muscles and the diaphragm, a sheet of skeletal muscles that forms the bottom wall of the chest cavity. Contractions of the rib muscles expands the rib cage by pulling the ribs upward and the breastbone outward. At the same time, the chest cavity expands as the diaphragm contracts and descends like a piston. Notice that this video shows the negative pressure breathing and the avian respiratory system. All these changes increase the lung volume and as a result air pressure within the alveoli becomes lower than atmospheric pressure because gas follows from a region of higher pressure to region of lower pressure. Air rushes through the nostrils and mouth and down the breathing tubes of the alveoli. During exhalation, the rib muscles and diaphragm relax. Lung volume is reduced, and the increased air pressure within the alveoli forces air up the breathing tubes and out of the body. The rib muscles and diaphragm change lung volume during shallow breathing. When a mammal is at rest during exercise, other muscles of the neck, back, and chest further increase ventilation volume by raising the rib cage even more. In some species, running causes visceral organs, including the stomach and liver, to slide forward and backward in the body cavity with each stride. Further increases ventilation volume. The volume of air a mammal inhales and exhales with each breath is called tidal volume. It averages about 500 milliliter in resting humans. The maximum tidal volume during forced breathing is the vital capacity without is about